Hello Internet, this is the InfoFox Got Gears channel, and today we're making a video about mistakes that most gas mask YouTubers does. I tend to ignore, or they just do on purposely and everything, and we're going to show the mistakes that they do and everything. So the people I'm not going to point towards is Weapon and Stuff and Duke and Canadian gas mask reviews and some two other YouTubers I know that point that that they're doing what they're reviewing, doing a smart way to how to review a gas mask. But we're going to show the mistakes that other people, the outside, that how what they do wrong with the gas mask reviews and everything, the mistakes they do. So we're going to start from the beginning with the end of the history. Now, I only caught 3 YouTubers out there. I'm not going to say their name, but I caught 3 YouTubers on the YouTube channel saying that these were more necessary as a military gas mask and everything. I'm thinking that they probably weren't a gas mask for a point reason, because they were civilian model. I think the black one could be a military one, but this one recently is just a Soviet GP5 civilian model gas mask. And to point things out is that the gas mask was mainly used for protection for the civilians, in case of the war comes in, where they throw nuclear weapons and everything, chemical that goes around, and so on. I think these things were probably not properly. I don't know if they were used in a Chernobyl thingy, because I think the GP7 was also another a civilian gas mask that was probably used around that time. But I think the Child PDF and I thinking the GP5 was probably used for the Chernobyl. But more accurately, I think it's just the Child PDF I've been seeing more accurately on the Chernobyl tour videos and so on. And for the point being said that these gas masks are more recently. Now I can show you what the difference between a civilian and a military. This is a civilian gas mask, a civil defense gas mask. And the point to be said, and this is a Soviet PMG, and this is one of the military gas masks that's more commonly used for infantry and the. I would say, actually, it would be safe for the tankers too, but far as I know, this thing wasn't used for snipers. I think the snipers would use the SMH-4 for the gas mask wear. But more importantly, I would go through the safety process of putting those on, because the filters are not very safe to wear. Now, I'll put a next point for the video for say. When I see kids online put a GP5 on, if they got it straight from the box, I would recommend them not to put it on as soon as you take it out of the box or a bag. Considering that the inside of the gas mask has the white powder dust inside of here, which you may not, actually I don't think it's in here. This is my old GP5, so it doesn't have it. But when you buy a GP5, you want to clean the inside. Even the outside too, and generally, but the inside of the gas mask has that white powder dust that keeps the rubber fresh, or I don't know, it just does something to the rubber. And what I've really heard is that the white powder dust that goes into the gas mask are there to keep the rubber fresh, and it kind of has lung damage. Well, if you inhale too many of that, that's probably a good chance of having a lung cancer or lung damage. So what I recommend for any of these people who are about to start making a video about GP5 is just clean the gas mask out, so that way you can have proper clean gas masks with knowing that it's safe and clean. Now, speaking of safety, there are some dangers that I've seen people do on their YouTube channel, on YouTube videos, reviewing about this stuff. And for the top we're going to point towards is making a mistake, which is putting on the Soviet green GP5 filter, or the PMK filters, or any of these filters that use in the old age. Because due to the fact that the filters in the past had asbestos, And I seen other people say the asbestos is on top of here. No, it's in the bottom, because I seen a video how to make your gas mask filter safe, and I seen he cut open with the can opener, and when he opened it, there's asbestos in it. I don't think the asbestos is located on top of here. If it was, then I would be freaking out like bad. But I don't think. I think the asbestos is trapped inside the active charcoal, which the active charcoal is right here. Asbestos is down here. And for point being said is that this is probably not the safe, but if it wasn't damaged in perfectly good condition gas mask filter, I would go to more. I would even put a P3 cloth on the gas mask. Now, I seen this new video came out that just came a week ago. Reason not to use a GB5 for Halloween. I would call that a false video, because you can actually use a GB5 for Halloween. Here you got a bunch of steps. Put a P3 filter cloth in the intake, and then plug it into your Soviet GP5 gas mask, and then you have a safer gas mask. Or you can just ditch the filter and then get one of these two safest gas mask filters that can easily screw onto a Warsaw pack screws. So this is the female, and this is the male. That's how they call it in the videos. So as you look in here, you're thinking it's probably a NATO filter, but no, it's a standard screw-in filter. If you have any gas mask that will screw in, it has a normal standard screw for the gas mask filter, it might likely have a chance to screw into a Soviet GP5. Now, as you see, I went extra procedure and you put a layer of cloth in it to protect it from active charcoal, even though there is like this P3 cloth is this bad boy is so strong. I've seen dozens of active charcoal getting in there, but it's strongly it traps in, so nothing can come through the P3 cloth. Because how you can know is if you could smell the gas mask filter smelling weird, then that's probably a sign of the activated charcoal getting in through your lungs. But again, active charcoal is another deadly thing for gas mask users, because even if they get a freshly good gas mask, and if you can shake it, you can hear activated charcoal. Like this one doesn't have much, because this one's more like the I would say it is still as a filter, but it's not much a hardcore one. This one, you can actually hear a little bit that the active charcoal is still there. And what I do is I know this thing is not completely 100% safe. It has no asbestos or anything. It's completely friendly chemical, but I would recommend not to try to put it on without protection. So regardless, if you are putting a Russian gas mask, put a P3 cloth in general, put it on it. That's the mistakes that every YouTuber has gone through, is that realizing in the comments below after to make a video, oh crap, it has asbestos. Not to worry. Here's if you're lucky. If you test this filter that's non-damage, then you kind of are lucky and safe. Just don't wear it again unless you want to go through the safety procedure. Now, the safety procedure I would do with the GP5 is put a P3 cloth and get a little butter knife and scrape all that lead paint off the screws. So that way you can have a safer, because this whole entire filter is actually lead painted, and as you can see, it's scraping off. Even if I just bought it from day one, it's scraping off. So that's the downside of this gas mask filter. Other than that, it's a pretty cool looking filter, but not safe. But I would recommend try to put a P3 cloth. Don't worry, if you see asbestos leaking out, this P3 cloth can actually protect you from asbestos, 100% guaranteed. But I would recommend taking the risk of getting asbestos on your lungs, because I mean it's dangerous, for God's sake. Okay, another thing that people mistake is that some people would think that they can shove a NATO filter in it, but I'm not gonna show you now because I don't want my GB5 getting damaged. But to show how, if you can hear, to show that if the filter doesn't fit on the Russian is if you're grinding sound, like that awfully rough sound up that you're trying to screw in the filter, then that shows that the it's not going to fit in the Russian gas mask. Now, Weapon and Stuff channel had recently made that where you can actually, not recently, but he made from his old videos showing that you can put a NATO filter in. You just need a little extra layer of a rubber ring in the gas filter to fill in the extra gap for the NATO, and then it fully fits. But again, that will be saying is you'll damage your GP5 to fit a NATO, just for that sakes. Some people had done it differently, or if for some reason I have 50% chance of hearing that you can put Shalon's Israeli filter in here, but it's 50-50 because Weapon and Stuff did it and shoved the Israeli filter into a Russian gas mask and it failed. Somehow you could put an Israeli filter in a PMG because the PMG is slightly different. You could actually put a rubber. This thing is a rubber screw in. That's the one scary part about this thing. But this thing is a full-blown rubber screw in. But it is pretty sturdy gas mask too. But that's the dangers and the mistakes that most YouTubers would make. Now the information, everything goes on and through. I would recommend going for the newer gas mask filters, like the FP5 or the Polish. Or they even have the coffee can Polish gas mask filters that recently are found to be safe. Another thing is coffee cans, like Weapon and Stuff said, can be dangerous with asbestos. But if you happen to bump a coffee can that's a little bit newer, like it's made in the 80s and 90s, then I would say, but I'm not going to say 100%, would be safe, considering that you can wear it because the asbestos is in the bottom of the gas mask, not in the top, not in the middle, in the bottom, and that whole entire coffee can is probably filled with layers of cloth and activated charcoal. So if the asbestos do get leaking in, and it probably would, then your best bet is probably the active charcoal would trap it, because inside there's a little metal thing, that metal tiny holes that when you breathe, air goes to the active charcoal and then it goes through the in valve and then goes through your lungs. But that's a mistake that most YouTubers would make a mistake when reviewing gas mask, is the dangers of gas mask filters. Because even if you have a new filter that say it's made in this year recently, like this for example, this one's made in 2015, so it's 4 years old filter. It's still not safe because it's still active charcoal is actually active charcoal is coming out, and if you guys can see right there, but the active charcoal is leaking and it's still going through your lungs, so it's still dangerous. So if you're smart and thinking you're smart enough to say put on a new filter that screws on Warstock pack, I would say no, it's still not going to be safe. Just like I say so many times on this video, P3 filter cloth. You can find these if you have in the United States. Then you can go to your local store. I would say Home Depot and Lowe's would be your two best bet companies stores that find the P3 cloth. In fact, I kind of did bought some, but they were not expensive, like $6 for like 4 of them. So it sounds expensive, but I did it because it was worth it, because Halloween's coming up and then I'm going to want to look all fashionable. That's why I know you guys say don't use this because it contains asbestos. I'm willing to take the risk because I have a secured gas mask with a P3 cloth, and I recently cleaned this out so many times, so I'm aware of that. Okay, another dangers of gas mask. Not dangers, but mistakes about gas mask users. I seen people do this. I'm going to show you, for example. They do this. They put the gas mask on their head, and then they do this. Now, I would recommend doing that because that's probably you're gonna get a lot of hair, because you're putting your hair right here, because if you have long hair, your hair is gonna touch the glass. And then I've seen people freak out. My friends, they freaked out like, oh my god, my gas mask has asbestos because there's a white piece of hair. I mean, not white, but there's a piece of hair, until I realized, dude, this is your own hair because you did it like this. I wouldn't do that because I would get hair and stain all on the glass. Now, like I seen people do, and even everyone does that. This is you get your fingers right here, and you fit your chin. Now your chin has to touch the inside. It can't fit right here. It can't touch right here. You can't do it. You have to touch it inside. Once you do that, then you pull it in through your back head, and it fits perfectly. So I'm going to show you a demonstration how you can put this gas mask properly right. So that's how you do it. So that's the way to do it, because I mean, I'm thinking you might just damage the back head and stretch the rubber too much where you're at the point. Yeah, honestly, I've seen people do with the chin with this one, but I can't blame them. For this gas mask is painful to do in your chin and everything. I tried doing it so many times until I found it easy just to do in your top head. But this PMG has a head harness, so it won't do anything like that. But again, another thing is that always clean your gas mask out. If you're gonna do so many videos with a gas mask, clean it out regardless. Even if you use it once, I always clean mine after end of the video. Like, not sometimes at the end of the video, but sometimes I just clean it out. Like, I just want to do some like little touching on the gas mask, to do some cleaning, and then there you go. It's safe and everything. But that's one thing about gas mask. Keep it clean, because you might be confused why you're thinking, why my gas mask stinks. Because if you don't take a shower, or if you're using if you're sweating and have odor, you're gonna think like, wow, the gas mask's not working, because your stinky sweat or head, if you don't take a shower, that body odor smell in your head, it's gonna stink up your gas mask. And then when you put it on next time, you're thinking it's not gonna work. It is, because it is, but it's like, it's gonna be stinky, and that's why I always keep my gas mask clean. You go through the proper procedure. Now, another thing that I recently seen other gas masks is that you might find wrinkles in your gas mask, and that's a bad thing about gas mask. Now, like right now, I'm doing a bad example, leaving my gas mask in front of this lamp, because this lamp still has the same brightness as sunlight as the sun. Never keep your gas mask out in the sun or in the window, unless you necessarily don't care about it. Like, it's a useless piece of crap. You just want to display it, then be my guest and go ahead and do it. But if you want a gas mask to last you very, very, very long, then I would suggest you just put it in the bag. Like, I'm going to show you, for example, I think I carry my left bag in here. I keep my bag with me, around me, sometimes, not all the time, but if I run in the room, I always keep it next to me. I have that kind of not phobia, or something, that feeling something's bad's gonna happen and everything. But here, you put your gas mask in the bag, and then the second thing you want to do is, you can't just leave it around your room. Like, hey, just because you have a bag and that's covering your GP5 doesn't mean it's necessarily good. You want to keep your gas mask in a room temperature room. I would say your closet, because the closet is the best bet to throw your gas mask in there. Because your gas mask can melt, or can it dissolve, or have a weird reaction with the temperature and the lighting. I always keep my gas mask in a closet, or just laying underneath my sheets, because like I said, I have that mental thing in my head, like, oh my god, something's gonna happen. But anyways, that's the number one thing. I would keep a gas mask somewhere that has room temperature, like closet or your drawer. If you have a dark corner shelf, then yeah, you can put it there. And make sure it collects no dust. If you want to keep your gas mask perfectly clean and good condition, even if you don't use it, I will still clean it. Even if it's collecting dust or sitting there do nothing, I will clean it. That's the mistakes that most YouTubers, gas mask collector YouTubers, because I've seen other gas mask YouTubers that show their collection, and I noticed that their gas mask has changed colored, or it looks more dusty and looks ugly colored, because they kind of don't leave it. They leave it out in the open where it's just the sunlight can hit it and everything. Another thing amongst gas mask collectors and mistakes is they leave their gas mask nozzle wide open, because, like I learned in Canadian reviews and everything about gas mask filters, is that if you do put a gas mask lid on a gas mask, you still have to have the worries of that. You making sure it's sealed up. I'm missing a lid for this, but I will find it pretty soon. But I will show you a demonstration. This lid right here can. This right here lid covers everything, but 1% of that air is going in that gas mask filter because some gas mask lids are not guaranteed to cover it. So the best thing you want to do is just to cover it up, and then I would say just throw in the closet next to your gas mask and everything, or get a Ziploc bag or get a jar. I get a giant big jar, chunk these filters in there, and boom, those bad boys can collect no air. Because with the lid on and with big giant lid, it can produce a no type air getting into the gas mask. Because not only that, it's the chemicals that can expire. Because if the gas mask expires, it's still usable. It's just the MBC runs out and it goes away. But you still have the chemicals that prevent you from receiving any smell or any particular dust hitting your lungs. You just have these filters to protect you. And that's the mistakes that most people do, is just leave their gas mask way out and say, "Hey guys, this is my gas mask collection. I have this filter out here. I just noticed you have no lid. So is it gonna work? No, it's probably run out." So that's why I recommend not to leave your gas mask filter out. Like this one could be expired because I could choose it any minute and just say it doesn't work because it's out of chemical juice. Chemical is already blown out and it's basically like that. All right, so we're gonna head towards another mistake. I'm gonna think a little bit more because I forgot what I was about to say about the mistakes to do. Proper procedure of using a gas mask. Now, I would use this for Halloween and everything, but it's a Soviet PMG, so I don't have a Soviet infantry uniform. So all I have is an officer uniform. So, most people don't know this, but what the little circular things that you get from your GP5 bags or any of your gas mask bags, they all are fog protection, but make sure that you don't get ripped off and get a lenses that can only fit on the GP5, or get a lens that's too big for the GP5 lenses, because this happened to me before. I recently got this PMG. It kind of came with the lenses and everything, just didn't came with a bag. I found out that what's problem is that they got me the wrong size lens for anti-fog lens for this thing, and that's another of the mistakes that some surplus seller can make. A mistake is buying a lenses that don't fit the gas mask at all. And the anti-fog lens are not necessarily required to have a gas mask. Unless you're in a summer heat, then yeah, the anti-fog will be better for you. Because like I recommend is if you're in an emergency apocalypse and you're wearing a gas mask during the heat, I would say to put an anti-fog lens. This is how you can anti-fog the temperature, because you're probably going to breathe in heat, and that heat's got to probably build the little fog in it. If you're in the winter, then I think it'll be opposite. It'd be perfect to wear a gas mask for role playing. But too bad in my state, in Texas, when October hits, it gets cold, but then it gets warm and warm until if you're in Halloween, you're sweating the hell out of your costume because it's hot, and whatever you're wearing is thick layer. It's gonna be not airable. It's gonna sweat, and you're gonna feel. Anyways. So that's another mistakes that most gas mask reviews would do. By then, right now, I'm thinking that I'm gonna order a tube, but that's another mistake about them. Some people think. I recently heard in Reddit that people saying that they got their tubes, and like, "Hey guys, I got a gas mask from Ukraine. It's made in Ukraine." In history terms, I don't think it was made in Ukraine. I don't know if I'm right, but Poland used to be part of the communists. So it used to be part of Russia back in the year where communists were still running, until other countries broke apart from Russia. So the point being said, I'm thinking that whoever says that, not to be mean, but they sound like an idiot just by saying that, because a tube and a gas mask are not made from Ukraine. Because if anything, it probably was made in Ukraine before they broke apart. But again, I think the censor of Russia they have affected it does make these back in the day. I think that's why I'm saying if you say it's made from Ukraine, that's false information giving. This is actually these Russian gas masks are made from straight from Russia. So if they say from Ukraine, it's technically not made in Ukraine. Some people could say, oh, technically it was made in Ukraine, so it could be made in Ukraine. True that, but in product wise, the person who invented this was in fact Russian, and he invented these for the Russian troops. So it is in fact a Russian gas mask. Now, some people can get confused between a Polish gas mask and a GP5. The Polish has a tiny little voice diaphragm, and I don't have the Polish gas mask at the moment, or even have it at all. But a Polish gas mask will look exactly the same thing as the GP5, but with a tiny little circle, and it doesn't have the nose nozzle. It just looks like this, just not the nose nozzle. And then the intake screw is a little bit slightly longer. Because the reason why, because if you see the difference between this Polish filter and this, they both are both shorter. One is shorter, and the other one is longer. Because the Polish filter, the Polish gas mask, is actually a little bit longer enough to fit the whole entire the little loop rings. This one only has 1, 2, 3. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one has 4 rings. This one has 3 ring loop, and that's the difference. And this one's slightly more bigger, taller than this, but it still looks like it still looks like the same thing. Because I think it's the same size actually. Yeah. The reason why Disney makes it bigger because it has that little ram thing in it. But yeah, that's the dangers of gas masks, and that's the mistakes that other YouTubers, when they review gas masks, mistakes. They all say don't use this filter. The GP5 is useless. No, you can just ditch the filter and get yourself a TF1 or a Polish gas mask filter, and then have yourself a good cosplaying view. And if you don't think the color of the filter is good, then you can get yourself a little metal paint the metal, and then let it dry, and you have yourself a good looking gas mask filter that looks like a Russian, but is in fact a Polish. Excuse me for a second. I threw that for reason, because for sarcastic reasons. Alright, grab the filter. Okay, so that's all the dangers of gas masks, and that's the mistakes that YouTubers would think, is that the kids would put on GP5s. They don't clean the gas mask out. They don't put a P3 cloth, and then they put the gas mask wrong. And then what else? I'm forgetting something. That's another thing. The tubes thing. Now, here's one big mistake that most YouTubers would think, saying how you make sure your gas mask is safe. Now, I'm going to show you the demonstration what I'm doing wrong. But I've seen it. People do this all the time when they review gas masks. That's a mistake right there, what they do right there. Because, like I saw in a vintage video, there's a vintage video of a United States gas mask training video for the U.S. Army, but it's vintage rare. What I learned about it is that the American M15 or the American M10 are almost similar, but I learned a trick for them. Is that when you get a gas mask, you don't just put your hand and make sure it's sealed. Because what if you put that gas mask on and that chemical gets in your mask and you breathe it in and you make sure it's airtight seal? That's stupid, actually, what they're doing. The real way is you get your hand, like I saw in the U.S. American gas mask training video, I think it was World War II or 1950, is put the gas mask on, put your fingers on this out valve where you breathe the air out, blow it in hard so that way your gas mask expands, and all that air you blow in pushes that chemical area, that dust and everything out of the gas mask. And then you put your hand on the end valve, and then you breathe in to make sure if it's airtight seal. If it's not, you're probably not screwing it right, or it's probably not the right filter, or it could be that it's just your screw's broken. Because like this one right here, like if you guys can see right here, it looks like it's damaged. Because that's what it looked like when I received it. So I don't know if I blame the shipper guy, but it's damaged. Excuse me for a second. Okay, so that's a mistake. So I'm going to show you a demonstration of how to do this. And I can even show it to you with the Soviet PMG. Every gas mask has to have an out valve breathing system where the air comes out. So I'm going to show you a demonstration on this one. So put gas mask on, breathe out. Breathe out and then breathe in. That's how you do it. And then I'm going to show you a demonstration on the Soviet PMG. Now, if you have an SMH, then that'd be a different story. It'd be the same story with the same story with the Soviet, the GP5. Now, here's the GP5. I know you guys are going to criticize, but this is how I put my GP5. This is PMG on. I'm going to say PMG. Oh gosh. When you first buy a gas mask, they're not going to fit properly on, so don't assume that you think it's going to fit. Okay, that's how you guys do it. The proper security is that when you put a gas mask on, doesn't mean it's going to be no chemicals in it. You're going to have dust in your face. The best way to do this is do this, and then put your hand on the out valve. Blow it in, don't take no deep breaths, just blow out the air that you're about to inhale. Put your head in the end valve, and then make sure it's an airtight seal. Okay, so that's how you do with the training gas mask. You train yourself to do this. Put your hands on the out valve. So you put your hand on it, you blow in, and then you put your hand on the in valve. You put your hand on here, breathe out. Put your hand on the in valve, hold, breathe in, make sure it's airtight seal, and then take another breathe in again to inhale the air, the clean air that's about to get processed to a filter. So that's the one big mistake I found about YouTubers. I don't know if I've seen Weapon and stuff done that too, but I saw that in the old vintage U.S. Army gas mask training video. So I took that same process, learning how to use a gas mask, and onto the Russian, where you find an out valve, breathe out and breathe in. Now, this is going to be difficult if you have a tube. Then as soon as you take your gas mask out, quickly get your tube out, hold on to it, do the same process, breathe out, and then grab your tube, put your hand on the end valve, and then breathe in to make sure it's airtight seal. Then you let go, and then breathe in again, and you breathe out. And that's how the gas mask works. Because I kind of find it logically, because like right now, air can go in right now. So what if chemicals go in and you do this? And you put your gas mask on, you're breathing in the chemicals in your lungs, and that's how that's how you provide lung damage or any chemical if you get hit by chemical in apocalypse. But right now, as I was saying, is don't just put your gas mask on and do this first. Put your hand on the out valve to breathe in to make sure if it's like secure, so to blow out this air will blow out, and then you put your hand in here, and the mask will get tighter on your face to make sure if it's airtight seal. If it doesn't, then you're just not tighten, or if you're using a different filter, it doesn't fit, or it's not screwed on right. If you have a P3 cloth and it's too wide, big for it, and that could be another answer too. Alright, so from there, that's all I have to say with the mistakes that most gas mask YouTubers does and do every day. Not every day, but like every day I see in the video the mistakes they do. Now, you can not wear of any chemicals. You can just test this, but when I test gas masks, I immediately spray all over the But that's the one thing I'm forgetting to do before I put a gas mask on. Spray the restroom with Febreze or anything like that, deodorizer spray. And then once you smell it, you recognize the smell. Put your gas mask on, blow in to blow that smell out. And then put your hand on the end valve and then it's airtight seal. But that's all I gotta say for there. So if you guys like this video, smash a like, hit that notification bell, and if you guys really want more and appreciate more videos I make, put a subscribe my channel for more. And catch you guys later.